guys, it's Jessica from Lemon and Lime Craft Company. I'm going to be making a super pretty spring grapevine wreath that we're making for an upcoming class. This is what we're going to be making today. Again, super pretty. All of these florals are from Michaels from this year, 2025. And it just came out so pretty. These filler flowers like really sold me on all of these colors. I wasn't really sure about purple and blue, you know, together, but I am in love. And I made some really cute bows just to kind of go with it, just to kind of keep it nice and simple, very like cottage core kind of. These were the filler flowers that really sold me. I saw these and I was just like, I have to use them. Really pretty pinks and light blues and the purples, and just in with this beaded grass. These are just perfect. They sell these in a few different, you know, color arrangements. I know there's yellows and whites. I believe I've used the coral kind of color ones as well, but this purple and blue just really blew me away. So we're using, there's two of these in this particular wreath that we're going to be making, and then we've got some like light blue baby's breath here, some blue ranunculus, and then this is kind of our main bush with our statement flowers, the peonies and hydrangeas, I believe. So again, all of these bushes are from Michaels, so definitely check Michaels out for a lot of their florals. I love using Michaels florals. The Ashland brand that they carry there is really pretty. Sometimes a little on the pricier side, but you know, with their discounts and everything, when things go on sale, you know, you can get things a little cheaper. But yeah, just super pretty flowers. So like I said, when we got all this going on in here, just so pretty. And then I just made these little bows that if you would order a kit from us, the bows already come attached, or you know, included, not attached but included. Just using this kind of like jute, it's called like a window pane ribbon, just because you can kind of see through it. And this really pretty like light blue 7/8 inch canvas ribbon. We just got some long tails, so we've got two bows going in this one. We've got, they're the same bow essentially, just one has longer tails. So this is one for the top, this is one for the bottom, kind of to add that extra length and make it super cute. So now that I've shown, and we're just using a 14-inch grapevine wreath base, so again from Michaels. So that is what we'll be using. Pretty simple, we're going all the way around. It's a pretty straightforward, you know, full circle wreath, but we'll kind of get started and I'll show you how we made it. Okay, so what I've got started here, so I've just got down to, I've got my bows on, and all I've done with the bows is they're just wired on with a pipe cleaner. So the loops are about 5 inches, and then you can make your tails as long as you'd like. I just went shorter, you know, for the top, so it kind of falls in, you know, in the center of the wreath, and then, you know, longer for the bottom. Let those tails drape down, just creates that nice bit of length. But as you can see, it's just a pipe cleaner that we just, you know, place it through the center, twist off in the back, and then I just thread it through the grapevine directly. You can go around it. We're going to cover everything. So if you just want to go all the way around the grapevine, as long as your grapevine's not too thick, you know, you would be able to do that too, if that's easier for you. I just prefer kind of go straight through the grapevine. That way I just kind of get it exactly where I want. And then this top one, you know, I just kind of went more towards like the inside of the wreath, you know, more just towards that kind of like inner ring. The bottom one, not necessarily inner or outer, just kind of like right on top, right through the center. But you know, again, you can place yours wherever you'd like. Again, if you have the kit, I'll already have the bows made for you. You can just wire them on directly. So I just kind of left that part on here, and so I don't have to do that part. But like I said, just one is kind of like when I said the more inside corner, like we're talking like here, as opposed to like way out here, because I want it to kind of fall more inside the wreath. And then this one's just more kind of right along the center, center of my wreath, and falling down. They're just kind of like opposite, you know, not straight up and down, but opposites. All right, so that's our base. And then what I do, I just cut, you know, all those bushes I just showed. I just take some diagonal cutters, cut everything down to, you know, leave a few inches of stem. That way we're going to glue in, and, you know, you'll have a little bit, you don't want to get glue on you. So you need a little bit to kind of work with, and, you know, be able to slide down into the wreath and, you know, create lots of contact there. So, you know, everything has maybe, you know, 4 inches, I'd say 3 or 4, you know, inches of stem. You can go a little shorter, a little longer if you'd like. If anything ever pokes out the back, you can always trim it. You just want to be able to create, you know, as much contact with the wreath and, you know, with the glue that's going to be on your stem. You want to create, you know, lots of contact. It's going to keep your, you know, your stems in place and everything, but you don't want them so long that, you know, you have giant stems sticking out the back. And you want to be able to have enough to, you know, pull your flowers forward. You don't want them stuck so far to the wreath. You know, you want it to be able to pop off of it a little bit. So you want to give yourself, you know, those few inches to kind of work with. Well, I'm going to start my glue pot, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my glue pot warming up. You can do this kind of one of two ways too. Most of the time when I'm working with a wreath like this, I kind of like to get all my florals, you know, onto my wreath, play with it a little bit. Sometimes you may want to move some things around, don't necessarily like what something looks like. So I don't like to glue right away. I'll usually glue at the end, which is kind of more cumbersome, because as you're pulling all the stems out, once everything is in, sometimes they pull things out, you know, a couple things together, and, you know, things don't necessarily like to go back in the you know, same hole that they went in. So it can be a little bit more difficult, more frustrating that way. However, you know, especially if you're kind of new to this, you know, and not sure exactly, you know, what you want to do with it, I just feel like it's easier. It's easier to change your mind, and once you've got things settled, to kind of go back in and just glue at the end. But for those of you that want to glue kind of as you go, you know, you can certainly do it. It's not that you can't move things once they're glued in. It just takes a little bit more effort once that glue dries to get them back out. So I just choose to kind of lay everything out first and go from there. So that's what I've done. I've just trimmed all the bushes, and I've separated my flowers too. So I have all of these flowers together. I like to kind of count, you know, all of my blue ranunculus are grouped together, just to kind of keep everything, that way I kind of know how many of everything I'm dealing with. And I like to start with my big flowers first, kind of your statement flowers. These real big peonies are obviously our biggest ones, so I kind of start from the big stuff down, because it's a lot easier to work in the little stuff than it is the big stuff. So you don't want to fill it full of filler and then, you know, not have any room for your big stuff. So with that being said, so I have 4 of these guys. So what I just look to do is to kind of stick, when I have even amounts of things, you know, I like to be very symmetrical with my wreaths, for the most part. For a full circle one like this, I definitely, you know, want this side of the wreath to match this side of the wreath. You know, I kind of create this line here with the bows, so I could either create like this, you know, just kind of divvy it up into 2 sections. But I'm just kind of using my bows to create that line. So I want this half of the wreath to look like this half of the wreath. So, like I said, with that being said, I like to just kind of go in. And since I have 4, I'm going to put 2 on each side. And you might even notice, like, with your peonies, like this one has a lot more greenery than this one does. So I have two that look like this, two that look like this. So I'm offsetting, you know, the two that are matched. So I have the one with a lot of greenery down here. I'm going high up here. Sorry about that. So I think I was saying, like, I just kind of offset these guys. Like I said, I have 4 of them. So the ones with the greenery, I just put like an offsetting, you know, like across from one another. And all of the florals, you know, they all have wire in them, so you can bend them any which way you like. I like to kind of place mine in and then just kind of like pull the stem forward a little bit. It just brings my florals kind of more forward facing and like eye level. So you don't have them like pointing straight up or anything. You want them kind of like facing right out towards you. So you'll have something kind of looks like that. And again, I'm just gonna kind of stick everything in here and then I'll glue at the end. If you think you're comfortable with where those are at, you can dip them in a little bit of glue, use a glue gun, just to have an inch or so of glue on the end, and then you'll want to slide things in kind of within the same direction of your wreath. So you don't want to go straight through, you kind of want it at an angle. So again, you want as much contact with the wreath as possible with your glue and everything, just to make sure your florals stay nice and in place and they're not going to fall out or anything like that. When you push straight through, it's just not making very much contact. So that's why we want to go in. You want everything to kind of flow with, you know, in the same direction, kind of with the direction of your wreath. Okay, so like I said, we've got our big flowers in here. I'm going to move to my next biggest ones, which is kind of like these guys and these guys here. They're about the same size. I have 3 of each of those, so I kind of just work like a little bit of a triangle look. Since obviously I don't have an even number, I can't put the same amount on both sides. I'm going to kind of stick, I like the one kind of at the top of this small bow at the top, and then 2, you know, 1 on each side. Again, you kind of want them in the same, you know, across from one another kind of, but just form that nice like little triangle. And I'm going to do the same here at the bottom. So I'm gonna, I like kind of like this down here, that one with the bottom bow, and then right up here in between my 2 bigger flowers. And again, especially if you got the kit where I'm including all of this, you do not have to make this wreath like I am. Like I always encourage with our workshops, you make this how you want to make it. I will include everything that I've used to make mine, but if you want to make it like a crescent shape, you know, that's fine, where you're not doing a full, you know, full round wreath. Like that's completely fine. Nobody's gonna hurt my feelings by doing that. You know, this is gonna be your wreath. You do it how you want to do it. So I'm just kind of showing you my process and how I, you know, went about making the wreath that I made. So I think, so I've kind of got those in place here. And those where I want them. And now I've got just 2 of these guys. So again, I'm just gonna put them across from one another, just kind of in an open spot kind of. Again, you kind of want to just slide everything in at an angle. I'm going to kind of, because they're a little bit darker than my big flowers, I'm putting them like one up top and the one down here at the bottom, just because it kind of pops off of that lighter color. So I know you got to trust the process for a little bit. It's going to fill in, but this is just kind of what we're looking at as of right now. We've got lots of really cute filler. So like these are just nice purple and blue. I've got these guys. There's 2 of these. So I might just kind of stick those guys in. I have like only 1 of these, so I might just save this for last, and if I find a spot that I might just need a little filling in, I might just throw that in there. We've got these guys with the beaded grass. They're like these little light pink, kind of like almost like a baby's breath kind of look. Our blue Ranunculus, and the blue baby's breath, and then just lots of these guys. So I'm just gonna kind of work with, sometimes whenever I get down to the filler and there's lots of filler, I might just try to kind of work off of what I have less of first. Again, I only have 2 of these guys, and they kind of have some bigger, you know, greenery to them. So I think I might just kind of toss those guys in too quick here. And again, I'm just kind of placing them directly across from one another. And I think I'm going to save the baby's breath and the blue and purple ones for last. So I've got these pink ones too. I don't think I showed those, but I've got quite a few of those, and then kind of like the light pink too. So at this point, there's truly no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I'm just kind of, again, I usually kind of count to see how many I have, and sometimes these are a little bit different too. Like this one has 3. These 2 only have 2 buds. So I might even separate them even further. This is just my process. Like I have 3 with the 3 buds, and then 4 with just 2. So, you know, are you truly going to notice like 1 extra bud somewhere? Just pop that right off. You know, probably not. It's just, I'm a little bit, you know, anal when it comes to stuff like that. But, so I'm just going to kind of place them throughout. I do want, you know, an even amount of blue all the way around. So, I might just place my ones with 3 here first, and then go in and pop these other guys in. So again, just kind of, usually if I have autumn outs too, like I'll try to work around the bows. Like do 2 across from one another somehow, but then incorporate one into like a bow. Or not like incorporate it into a bow necessarily, but like around the bow kind of. You know, one of the big things is, you know, when you have 3 of something, to use like triangles. So you can take that for for what it's worth. You can try that, but I mean, it's not, I'm just trying to be, you know, kind of as even as I can. Sometimes I'll go more on the outside, you know, with your florals sometimes, but then sometimes use them on the inside. Some people like a certain flower all the way on the outside, and that's fine too. Like I said, there's no real rhyme or reason, you know, no wrong way, no right way to necessarily do this. I'm just trying to keep it kind of as even as I can all the way around. So like I'll probably do this one like right down here. So pretty even all the way around. Okay. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of these. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the pinks. And 6 baby's breath. So I'm going to kind of work these guys in first. They're a little taller. So again, no necessarily rhyme or reason. Just I've got 6, so you can always change it. We're just going to keep going Actually, I lied. I might do these ones next. I do have a lot of them, and then I can just kind of fill in with these guys and these guys at the end. But again, no wrong way to do it. Just kind of, and a wreath like this too, it's just kind of easy to just kind of play with it and just try out different things. And the beauty of not gluing everything in is that you can rip it right back out if you don't like it. So again, I'm just kind of, I've got a good bit of these guys, so I'm just really just finding, you know, little spots to fill in here and there. Don't want to forget, you know, on top of your bow. This wreath really does have the prettiest colors. So I'm just kind of going some on the inside, some on the outside, and some kind of like right here in the middle. This one I'm going to go right in the middle with. I've got 3 more. Alright, so this is what I'm kind of looking at now. So this is before my baby's breath is in here. So it's pretty full. We're just going to add little finishing touches. I've got, I think, 6 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6. Plus this one extra little guy. And I think I might stick him, well, no, saving it for last. So yeah, I'm going to throw this baby's breath in here. I know I need one. Again, just looking for the last of your kind of your gaps everywhere. Even not be able to find an open spot at the end, but just kind of, let's see, I might have to throw this little guy in here because I think, oh, look, I fell out. Not glued in yet. So I might throw one of these right down here. I'm pretty good elsewhere. This guy doesn't want to stay in. And your ribbon might kind of get buried a little bit, but that's okay. Just we'll kind of fix it up at the end. So that, at least as of right now, is what we're looking like. So that's everything in there, all the florals. Again, nothing's glued in yet. And then for my bow, I kind of like to have my tails kind of pointing out now. I used to be a big curl under fan, but as of lately, I kind of like them just kind of like having a nice flow. I don't bend them super hard. I kind of just pull one on top of the other here, and then I kind of just alternate my hands and like push the top one forward and the bottom one back. So it kind of makes like a almost like a slide. Like, I think you can see that okay. He's putting this bottom hand kind of back. And it just makes that nice kind of flow, give them a little separation. Yeah, there we go. And you can do the same thing, maybe not as extreme, but same thing to the top. The window pane mesh is nice because it doesn't block your view. It adds that extra little touch, but you know, it's not a solid, so it doesn't, you know, you can still see all your florals behind it. And that's pretty much, that's it. That's just, you know, you're really just taking all your florals. Like I said, I like to kind of work with, you know, one floral at a time and just keep adding each one. And it just, I feel like that's a good way to disperse them fairly evenly, you know, throughout a full circle grapevine like this. A lot of times, if you just have everything all piled together, you know, you tend to grab something, you know, a group of one things at a time, but a lot of times you can have a lot left over of like one particular item, and you know, you've noticed that you've used this one certain flower, you know, just at the top and none at the bottom, and things like that. So that's why I like to kind of separate everything I'm using, kind of just start one flower at a time, start from the biggest stuff down, and just kind of fill in as you go. And as you kind of do more, you'll start to learn, you know, like how much floral you'll need for, you know, a certain size wreath and things like that. So like I said, this was what, five bushes, I think. We had the large purple one with our big statement flowers. We had the blue ranunculus, the blue baby's breath, and then 2 of the filler. You know, obviously with filler, you know, you're filling in things, so I usually, you know, will buy a second one of those for this. This is a 14-inch wreath. It makes a very nice size. It's not like a huge wreath, and obviously with it being smaller than, you know, we use 18-inch a lot. You just don't need as much, you know, to fill out an 18-inch wreath as you do, or fill out a 14-inch as opposed to an 18-inch. You just don't need that, you know, that much more supplies. So this was nice. It filled it out quite nicely. Like so, we got our little bows just to kind of give it extra little cottagey. So yeah, it just kind of gives it that like cottagey kind of vibe. So like I said, I'll take everything out, which I know can kind of be a pain and cumbersome, but I just will pop everything out, dab a little bit of glue. Here on the end, I'll kind of show you. You don't need a whole lot. I use the Sure Bonder glue sticks, melt those down, but like that's all that I'm really using. And then you'll just kind of go in at your angle, right into your grapevine. You'll feel it kind of pull. Let it sit for a minute. I always go back at the end and kind of give everything a little bit of a tug just to make sure nothing's freely, you know, coming out. Everything will come out if you pull it hard enough, but you know, a little tug will let you know how it feels and if it feels secure. So I'll do that for all of my flowers here. Just kind of go in. Might take 1 or 2 out at a time and just kind of plug them back in. Just try to shoot for where they went in the first time. So I won't show you me gluing everything, but that's how she looks. It's a very super cute wreath. I love these colors. I'm so happy we made this one of my new favorites, especially for the workshops. I might have to keep this one for myself, but yeah, very, very cute. So if you do get a kit from us, hopefully this helps. If not, like I said, you can find the florals, at least for now, we're all at Michael's. So every bush was from there. Even the wreath base, and like I said, that's a 14-inch grapevine. So So I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. It's a beautiful wreath, so if you do decide to make it, it's a good one. So yeah, let us know in the comments if you have any questions about anything, or feel free to message our Facebook page. We also have a website, lemonandlimecraftco.com, if you have any questions, or to look for any of our kits that we do for the workshops that are available. We list on our website, so you can always find those there. Thank you.